And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Sake Drinker and Friends here at Momo-san Bar, which, as you saw last month, we had a big party, a big opening for it. We're very excited. It's working out very well. We're getting a lot of people excited and educated about sake, shochu, Japanese whiskey, all those things, and we'll get in depth. But more than anything, I'm very excited to have my mentor and boss here with me. Finally, after almost a year of shows, Michael Galyen. And I would love for you to speak a little bit about yourself.
Well, been in the Valley about 15 years, worked in Italian food for a long time. This was our first foray into Japanese food, and Eduardo and I were working at a restaurant together before this, came over here together, opened up Morimoto Napa, and now we will be at 5 years come May. And it's amazing how fast the time
Just
went.
like that.
Just like that. I tell you, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Absolutely. Fastest 5 years of our lives, probably.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, having a lot of fun and learning a lot of things together. I've learned an immense amount of things from Michael. And
although now you're teaching me everything these days, it seems like. You're the
when you get old,
the student
like that,
becomes the teacher, right?
And without further ado, we'll talk more about Michael and everything we've done. But more than anything, the show is about drinking Japanese spirits and all kinds of Japanese beverages and pairing and having friends over. We have some pretty cool and cute guests today to the show. And we want to make sure we get into details. That way we just learn as much as we can during the brief show. We are going to talk today about shochu. Shochu itself, it's distilled, and it's a big brother, if you will, to sake. In a lot of ways, it resembles sake. As we learned, together with Chef Morimoto, his favorite and his own keepsake, namesake brand, the Morimoto, which is made of kome. So one of the things to write down, kome means rice, and kome shochu, rice shochu. And I don't know if you want to go in depth while I pour you a little bit, and we'll talk about it.
So shochu, very similar, almost in a way, to a vodka. It's a distilled beverage made from either usually rice, sweet potato, barley. Runs about 50 proof generally. Really fun. My first time trying shochu was actually with Chef Morimoto. We went to a little party with him and he poured some shochu for us. And on the first sip, it made me think a lot of vodka. But it becomes really amazing as you add a little bit of ice to it, as you add maybe a light bit of citrus to it. It just takes on different layers of flavor. It's a really complex beverage, actually.
Mm-hmm. This one, being the cleanest out of all, has, I think, a little bit of like banana in a good way, just very green banana, a little plum, very clean. I mean, definitely a good introduction
Very
to
clean.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Very mouth-watering, and I find it extremely addictive, unfortunately, but really good
It's
stuff.
absolutely
Yeah.
addictive. And it is very food versatile too, which makes it really
Absolutely.
easy to pair with a lot of the foods here. It goes well with some spicy foods, but does have a lot of, like we said, layers of flavor that allow it to be paired with a lot of different things, which is great.
Just keeps your mouth going. The cool thing is, since it goes to the only one distillation, as Michael said, the alcohol, it's about half of vodka. So you can drink a little more, enjoy more with friends and family. And then one really cool thing that I was going to wait to talk about, but I get really excited about, the health benefits of shochu. It actually, it's proven that it clears away blocked arteries. So blood clots definitely get dissolved with a regular consumption of shochu, which is super exciting. Also,
Really?
yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and since that's the case, another enzyme that shochu has actually creates a health in the plasma, in the blood plasma, and it almost creates no hangover the next day. So hence, Chef Morimoto drinking it and guiding us all into it, and a lot of Japanese culture. I mean, it's amazing how. I mean, forgive me if I'm going all over the place. I just get really excited. But if you go to see a scene of Tokyo right after work, 5-6 p.m., people get out, go and crowd all these little bars, very similar to our setup here. Drink some shochu, have a couple bites, very small, meet with friends, and move on, and keep it drinking. Wherever they go, keep drinking shochu very steadily. The next day, they're up at 6, 7 in the morning, off to work like nothing happened. So it's a pretty remarkable part of the process. It's made just like sake in this case, and then it's distilled once, and it doesn't have the tannins, the sugars, all those things that actually create a taxing on your body like
Right.
other things too.
No, I do agree, and that is true. I mean, but the problem is we always mix beer and we're having shochu. That's the problem.
Exactly. That is the problem when you start mixing things or doing sake bombs or who knows, you get into the Jameson later on. That always adds
The,
to
the health benefits, that's great. That's a really amazing fact, actually. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
a couple more reasons to drink shochu more often, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Isn't that exciting? So we'll move into a different style. And this one, don't feel like you have to drink it all. We'll use some dump buckets. It's a long night. This one here, and one thing I forgot to mention before, most of the shochu production is from the Kyushu region, which is southern Japan, which is right over there by 10, 15, and 9. Now, the different styles, so rice shochu usually comes from Kumamoto, which is a center region of Japan. And then we get into sweet potato. And the kings of sweet potato shochu are in Kagoshima, which is the southernmost prefecture. It's a mountainous region, pretty moderate climate, almost a little tropical. And it's very suitable for mountain potatoes, sweet potatoes. And what they do is they mill them, they cook them, they mill them, and then they ferment them, and they go through the distillation. And the product itself, it's outstanding. I mean, it's like night and day, as you can smell it.
And this is called an emo.
Emo
right?
shochu. Thank you.
Right, absolutely.
And it's, I don't know what you could say, but I like saying it's like licking a potato right out of the dirt. It's got that terroir,
It
dirtiness,
really does.
in a really good way.
But now these sweet potato shochus are generally also made with rice as well, correct?
In some cases.
Some ca- now
In
this one, I
Kagoshima,
believe,
this
is-
one is 100%
This
sweet
is-
potato. Yeah, and that's like their forte. And a lot of people in Japan know this one as the region where shochu originated and the most widely known. So they relate in a lot of parts shochu, it's always sweet potato. So knowing that it became made of this other product, it started with sweet potato. And that's the origin. So, but you can see that style. If you were to never have had shochu before and started with this, you might have a little adversity to it because it has like hairy chested, right? Like kind of
This
dirty.
one almost has more of like a tannic structure, it feels like, than the previous, than Morimoto shochu.
Absolutely.
It has that more astringency on the palate and yeah, definitely a heavier mouthfeel.
And I invite you to have a little sip. And then before you finish it, Teresa, if I could have a little sip of that hot water. And this is the most common way of drinking emo shochu. And I'll pour a little sip of boiling water, which amazingly doesn't dissipate the flavor of the shochu. It just carries it. And with the heat, it creates a whole different style.
And this is called oyuwari, which is shochu with hot water added.
And this is more, the cuisine of Kagoshima has a lot of fried food, a lot of sweet food. So if you could imagine the kind of food that's being eaten with it and drank,
Sure.
it's just, it almost becomes like a tea, right? But it has the aromas, the flavors, a little more volatile.
I know a lot of times we drink Morimoto shochu and we'll add some citrus to it, so maybe some citrus
Uh-huh.
peel. Would you not want to add citrus to a sweet potato like this, one that's so...
Absolutely. I
would you?
personally think that most shochus benefit from a little citrus depending on what it is, especially lemon. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know if that we're preconditioned because that's how we've had it, but it just does the trick. And being that said, we'll probably move on to a different style. In this case, slightly richer. And this one coming to us by the Oita prefecture, which is slightly a little northern west of Kumamoto, where the rice one's from. This one being the more robust, Ichiko Kurobin, one of the bigger producers in terms of quality, not volume. Big fan of them. I love it. I love their packaging. The people are amazing.
This
That
is
whole
chef's
group.
favorite shochu after his own, correct?
After his own.
Right.
Yes. And this is made of mugi, which is the barley initial product. Different, right? What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah?
It's very smooth. I don't get as much of the earthiness as the sweet potato.
Absolutely. So Janet's saying she doesn't get as much as the earthiness. It's smooth. In a lot of ways, it's been compared to like a closer in the whiskey family in a way, without having the big heat, the big punchline, but it definitely like smoother, nicer. And you could imagine like the barley being picked as a prime ingredient, how different it is. I mean, here we're starting with 3 different ones, right?
Right.
Amazing.
Very amazing.
Eduardo, does the bottle make a difference between glass and the crockery?
Does the bottle make a difference? As Janet's question, not really. At this point, it's distilled. It's stopped. There's no the shochu doesn't continue to evolve like sake does per se, and in this case, it's just aesthetical. Yeah, but I mean, you can get really crafty with some of the styles of packaging. But yeah, in sake cases, you might want to do a darker bottle to protect from the sun.
Right.
But in this case,
sake
yeah.
doesn't like UV rays, right? Sake is very
Exactly.
sensitive to UV light. Yeah.
And it tends to get spoiled with it.
Yeah. Delicious.
Very, very delicious.
I actually finished that one. I didn't dump that one. That was tasty.
Hey, it's an educational
That's
tasting,
right. We're going to
right?
the floor next, right? Exactly.
Round 4. This one here, and actually just in time for the pairing here, Chef Sean Massey
Chef Sean.
is delivering the famous Braised Octopus
Oh,
to go with the
nice.
next one. Thank you, Chef. This is one of his masterpieces. To go with a richer style, and it was like timed perfectly because awamori, it's a style of shochu made of Thai rice. So very different style. And another characteristic of awamori, it's aged for 3 years. It doesn't have any oak, no cedar, nothing imparting flavors. The aging, it's just so it integrates fairly well.
I'm so
And-
excited to try some new product with you. This is
Yes,
exciting.
this just came in today, and we're very excited to start carrying it from now on. But yeah, for a lot of us, the first time.
Maybe you should talk about the difference between soju and shochu for a second, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So soju, which a lot of people might know, because let's say your mom and pop's place in town, not necessarily Asian or Japanese influence or whatnot. Sometimes Mexican restaurants will have it when they don't have a liquor license.
Right.
So this product, it's made mostly from Korea, and it's made out of rice, and it could be flavored, and it almost can catch flavors and notes of vodka or tequila or whatnot. And it can, I mean, pretty smart marketing if you think about it, because you're selling a
Right.
product where you cannot sell liquor. But that being a very distant cousin from shochu. Not to say it's less or more, it's just different. Shochu is a crafted spirit made for centuries, has a tradition, where soju, it could have that old tradition too, but it's more catered to mixed drinks, if you will. It's
Which
not
is
something you wanna-
interesting because when that bottle came in today, and actually the Japanese bottle says soju,
Uh-huh.
but it's just like almost like the bottle where it's aesthetic. This is just a spelling difference, but really it is
Exactly.
a shochu. Right.
There is a lot of exchanging of letters and words in there.
Right.
Is the alcohol content the same or is it lower?
Alcohol content is very similar. At the end, they get diluted, so it's roughly between 40 and 50%. And actually, I'm gonna check on this one, which I failed to check earlier.
How's your Japanese coming along?
It's not there yet. 40 proof, so it's pretty much the same. And awamori, a lot of people consider it a bigger style of shochu, but this proves that the alcohol at the end is pretty similar.
That's delicious. I mean, it's almost got an ethereal mouthfeel to it. It's so light on the palate. It's really amazing.
Wow.
That's delicious.
That is crazy. That is.
We'll be
pretty
carrying that moving forward?
Absolutely.
Better hide that from me.
Yeah, it's one of those that's scary. And why don't you try it with a little bite of the octopus, Michael?
Oh, ladies.
It's a big bite.
That is a big bite.
Go ahead.
I might need one more sip, though. I don't know. I think I finished my...
There is plenty of it. So, talking about how the pairings work depending on the region, as we talked about the Kagoshima shochu with the sweet potato, with the richer fried style. Awamori comes from Okinawa, and the food in Okinawa is a lot of grilled, a little cleaner, not as much fat, but definitely having the toastiness on the notes as far as the flavor go.
Wow. What a nice pairing. That goes really well together. It's delicious.
And you have the spiciness and wow.
It's tasty.
Wow. This being one of the many dishes that we feature here at Momo-san. And to recap on the whole idea of Momo-san Bar is to have a quick place to meet and greet and have a quick bite. As you can see, smaller bites. Have shochu, sake, Japanese whiskey, anything that just connects to the Japanese culture, what chef grew up with, just trying to bring it into Napa.
And we're one of the only restaurants, I believe, in North America that has 4 sake specialists on staff. So it's nice if we can have an area too, where it's not just about selling product, but about educating guests. And so we actually have an avenue or an outlet to spew all this sake knowledge that we have up here. It's kind of nice
Absolutely.
to have that option now, to be able to exercise some of that.
No,
Yeah,
that
cool.
is a great point. It's
Yeah.
like, it's fun to come and have a captive audience in sometimes. And now we have Teresa who's in charge of doing the sake bar, and she's taking it over and learning all these things we're passing on to her. So when we're not here, she can pass it on and train other and educate guests, which is one of our biggest things. And to mention, leading from there, Michael took the certified certification right before we opened in 2010, right?
Oh yeah, 2010, right before we opened, I got certified with John Gontner, actually the same course that you've done now, that Anthony's done now, who's been on the show, and then our other manager, Christian. Really amazing 3-day sake intensive with some really cool tastings, tasting sake from north to south, tasting sake's different varietals. But you know, like we were saying yesterday in an interview, we were talking about how people view sake as being very linear sometimes. It doesn't have a lot of depth to it, but it really does. It's amazing how much depth there is in different types of sakes, and where in the world of wine, where wine is all about the soils that the grapes grow in, sake is all about the different waters from different prefectures. So it's amazing the different mouthfeels you get just based on the hardness or softness of waters from different prefectures. It's really amazing.
It's outstanding, and how drastic from north to south and water and all those things.
Absolutely.
And as you can see, we get really excited about these things, and we want to share them. It's pretty amazing.
We like to go on and on about
and
sake.
we like
don't
drinking them too.
Yeah, we like drinking, that's right.
Last but not least, on the first set of tastings we're gonna do, this is a tawari. It's a shochu made of soba, of buckwheat, which Chef Morimoto loves to play with. He makes beers with them with Rogue. Then we're gonna have some whiskeys made out of those. But buckwheat being a staple in the Japanese culture and a lot of Asian cultures, this one coming from the islands on the west of Japan. And pretty fun, richer style. I've read a lot about it. It's been a while since I tasted one. This one just came in. I'm very thrilled to taste it. I could smell it from here.
That one's got quite a nose on it in comparison to the other ones. That's
absolutely.
That's wow.
This is almost like reminds me of a white whiskey from the Finger Lakes, or even from Michigan area. Sort of like that style where it has a richness, right?
Wow.
Almost cereal-like opening the box of cereal in the morning.
I mean, that's got, it really does have a, wow. That's amazing.
Wow, and that carries. That has a little smokiness.
That's by far, I mean, it has smokiness to it. It's almost like a scotch in a way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, how unique.
Wow. Teresa, would you mind handing us the duck hearts? Because I think this would be a perfect weapon, and feel free to try them too. For this sake, for this shochu in particular. Please, Michael.
You and your duck hearts. You love your duck hearts.
I love
don't
duck
you?
hearts. I mean, that is my weak spot. As you say, one of my favorite dishes. But my favorite part about it is pairing it with the right. Because when you have a rich texture, irony like that,
you need something that's got weight, that's got layers, that's got depth in order to match up to that. That's not an easy dish to pair with. It's not. And it will overpower most anything. It will probably overpower most of the other shochus, really.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Wow. That is a big punch, right? It just kind
That's
of
a big punch.
It's a big, massive, like meteors crashing at some point. But then at the end, it just makes sense. It just kind of.
You have the greatest
Maybe come on.
descriptors, I'm telling you. You don't know where you go with some of these things.
I
It's
don't
just
either.
perfect.
It just,
I love it.
It just happens.
That's what makes you great at your job.
But pretty exciting. Price and where to find it. So Momo-san Bar is probably the best place to find it.
The only place to find it.
The only
No,
place to
kidding.
find out. It's shochu. It's slowly creeping into the market. I mean, if you think about it, sake it started making its way 10, 12 years ago, 15 even, slowly, and now you can find it at some supermarkets even for certain brands. Shochu, it's trailing slightly behind because it's a whole other world, right? It's distilled. It's something that Japanese culture has kept mostly on their own. The production is not massive. It's very, unless it's like a mixing shochu per se, which we can talk about. It's a slow craft, slowly moving into the U.S. So it's really hard to find. Online you could find it, but
Don't you know isn't the percentage of sake and or shochu? I believe of all the sake and shochu produced in Japan, I think only like less than 10% is exported out of the country. Is
Something
that correct?
like that.
It's
Yeah.
a very small number, actually. Yeah.
yeah, no,
Amazing.
it's a minuscule amount because a lot of it's consumed in Japan, and a lot of it just doesn't make it out. They just don't make enough.
Right.
A lot of this breweries
Or they
and
don't want to
distilleries-
share one or the other, right?
or they don't want to share. They just want to keep it. But pretty exciting. And on that note, let's taste a rice chochu, similar to Chef Morimoto's, but this one, in this case, it's a little more neutral. This is like going back on reverse to where we started to pair with some vegetables. And this style, actually, let's do new glasses for this one, since those are already on the richer style. This one, it's amazing on its own, but it's very light, very feminine in style. And before we taste it, I'm actually going to put a little bit of ice, which is a pretty fun recommended way to serving chochu. Just a touch of ice, which in this case we hand carve here. Little bit of ice, and leading to what Michael said, we're gonna do a little citrus peel. In this case, we'll do lemon. And now you start getting into the dangerous part of chochu, because it's extremely likable and drinkable.
Now, one thing too, when you do that peel, you have to be very careful not to get much of the pith or the white part of
Exactly.
the lemon onto the peel. Chef Morimoto
Let
is
me
very,
put you-
very particular about that. Whenever we serve him shochu here, the first thing he does is he flips the citrus and looks at the backside to make sure we don't give him too much pith. So we're always very aware of how much pith we're getting onto that peel. It's kind of funny. He's trained us very well.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, the pit has so much bitterness.
bitterness,
that,
right.
Yeah. And you have to get the right balance. So this is one of the most common ways, at least that we know, that we've always been exposed to of drinking shochu. And it just makes it mouth-watering. It just, and taste how it explodes with citrus and plum and very different,
Isn't that
right? For this one, all you need is it's a pool or a beach, and
Right.
man, it takes you there. And feel free to try with the vegetables. We have these vegetables cut up that you dip in a red miso. That's made in house, and it's like very simple: cucumber, carrots, celery sometimes, and it's just very refreshing and fun.
Delicious. Isn't that nice?
Another fun way to taste shochu, which you shouldn't be scared at home, is to try it on a wine glass. Try it on a regular glass. Try it with hot water. Try to stay away and take note of hot water with the lighter styles. And when you get into the richer styles of shochu, then you can play with the hot water. The ice usually plays water with the lighter styles, and it just brings out more fun stuff. And then we have another thing, which if we have enough time, which we might just a second, we'll demonstrate. We'll do a touch of simple syrup just to take away the sweetness. Soda water and shochu. And the cool thing about this one is you do it tableside. So when you come and order it, we'll bring you the tray. We'll give you some instructions, and there's a lot of people that are pros by now, and they come back and they've had it a few times in simply a week and a half or two we've been open. And it's pretty exciting. So
So generally, what is it? It's about
Do you wanna
3
do
ounces
that?
of soda water, right?
3 ounces,
3 ounces,
2 shochu.
2 shochu.
and the citrus.
A little bit of a tablespoon of simple syrup. And then what we do too, when we serve these here in the bar, we want the guests, we want it to be an interactive experience. So almost a lot like chef's food, where a lot of these things are kind of hands-on dishes, the toro tartare, the buri bop, same kind of thing where the guest comes in, we want them to juice their own citrus, kind of assemble their own shochu sour. So it's sort of a hands-on drink, just like some of the food is hands-on here as well. So we'll just juice a little orange here.
And while Michael says that, I want to remind you about some shows coming up this week. March 23rd, Tips for the Sums by Sums with Scott Barber. March 29th, it's a very exciting first show of Koru K9 dog training. First one for ToutSuite, which is pretty cool. I cannot wait. And March 30th, Not Taking Orders with Susan Quinn and a couple other fun girls on the show. And then to demonstrate how to do this one, so you do the shochu first, put the soda water, put the citrus of your choice, and just a tad, when it comes to orange, you just want to tap it with the citrus, do a quick peel, and we'll usually give you a little hanko, and you taste it and forward. Do you want to taste it, Michael? Make sure
If I must.
Make sure you're really good.
Sure, absolutely.
And with that, I want to say thank you very much for coming. Thank you, girls. Thank you, everybody. And till next time to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Sake Drinker and Friends. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for
I really
having me.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.